Hello. Good morning. Claire Ackers here, coming to you live from sunny Mount Mills and Farsley. It's 8:30. It's Thursday morning. How the devil are you? If you're watching me live, please do say hello in the comments. And if you were catching up a little bit later, please say hello with #replay. I'm a little bit nervous about this one. Honestly, I can feel the butterflies going a little bit. Because today is going to be a really raw and vulnerable and honest conversation. But that's why we're here, right? Isn't it? Because today we are talking about what to do when you are absolutely on your knees. Because say what you like, entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted. While, yeah, absolutely, fortune may favour the brave, having the audacity to run your own business, it can absolutely bring you to your knees. And often women come to me when they're in the pickle. They ask me for help when they're in a real pickle, when they've thrown everything at it and they've been having dark nights of the soul, where they've been questioning their very existence, never mind their ability to launch and grow and run their own business. So today's conversation is some real talk. It's raw, it's vulnerable, it's honest, and I am going to totally overshare on some of my stuff. So today I am speaking directly to you if you've ever felt like this. If you're on your knees, if you don't know where to turn, and yeah, you're panicking. Maybe you're panicking a little bit. I'm going to take you through the exact steps that I would do and have done really recently, in fact, to totally turn my ship around and go from screwed to smashing it. My name is Claire Ackers. I work with female entrepreneurs to help them with imposter syndrome and to help them grow aligned and impactful businesses. I'm interested in authentic self-mastery, both through myself and for my clients, which is helping you know who you are right down to your core and what you stand for, and then have the courage, the audacity to live it every day. I've been in business 9 years next month, 9 years as director of a limited company. And in that time, I have had 2 businesses. My first business for the first 5 years was a technology recruitment business. And on paper, I was absolutely smashing it. I had a decent sized team, I had gorgeous offices, I had an amazing client list. My accountant was really happy with me and my performance. All the things that looked awesome on paper. But I described that business as having built a golden cage because I was desperately unhappy and I was growing somebody else's version of success. The second business, the coaching business that I have today, I love. It just lights me up. I get to work in my zone of genius every day. I only do the type of work that I want to do, work with the kind of clients that I want to work with. And that has been my sole focus and source of income for the past 4 years. And yet I have all the grey hairs and the wrinkles of having launched and grown 2 businesses. I've just been looking at my end of year accounts. I've just had the best year I've ever had. Turnover has increased by 30% from last year, and I am celebrating that like crazy. And yet I have had plenty, more than my fair share of dark nights of the soul, literally crying on the kitchen floor with no idea how I'm going to navigate the problem, usually cash flow, that I am facing at that time. In fact, and it's time to get really vulnerable, and I am a little bit nervous about this, I have just come out the other side of a crisis, possibly my biggest crisis yet. One of those dark periods, and that is what has inspired today's conversation. Now, I could very easily lie and tell you that this story is coming from the perspective of a client that I've helped, but that's not what we're about. I don't want to do that. I want to be really raw and honest and vulnerable with you in the hope that if you need to hear this today, that it helps you. Because I'm not going to tell you, not just going to tell you exactly what I went through, I'm going to tell you the exact steps that I went through to get out of it and get out the other side and be having my best period ever. And if you look at social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, it seems to be all shiny, shiny, doesn't it? You know, people smashing it, deals coming on left, right, and center, people hiring, growing, all the stuff. And you would be thinking, or you would be forgiven for thinking that you are not the only person who is smashing it. And it can be such a lonely place, can't it? Such a lonely place being an entrepreneur, being at the top, having no sounding board, having to make all the decisions, everything being on your shoulders, whether that's within the business, within employees, or within your family as well. All these people are counting on you to pull it off. And it is so easy to internalize very, very common and very, very real business problems and think that the problem is you. It's just you who hasn't got what it takes. And if you are lucky enough to have business peers that you count as friends, and I certainly do, they may share their challenges, but what you get is the sanitized version, the public version, rather than the real, raw, messy stuff that makes you feel like you're not alone. And this is what I want you to hear, that anybody will and will continue to struggle in their business many, many times. There will be tough times. It is what you do about it, how quickly you can move through the steps and the stages to get yourself out of it. That's what counts. So, this is what happened to me very, very recently. I had just invested very heavily in my business. I had made an investment that made my bum clench a little bit. I was petrified of this investment. And I was feeling and thinking all the things. Had I been duped? Was this just snake oil? Was it going to work for me and my business and my business model? Who the hell am I to go after this next level? It's not going to work for me. What are people going to think when I start changing things and showing up differently and doing things in a slightly different way? Who the heck am I to meet the, quite frankly, terrifying payments of this investment? I'm irresponsible. I'm feeling all the guilt about the kids and spending more time at work, and they're missing out on me and they're playing up because I'm not there. All the things, the full rainbow of emotions were going through my mind, right? And then the physical symptoms arrived. I got an ear infection right on cue. Um, so I was working my absolute backside off at about 60% of capacity and energy, just struggling through regardless, because there was no other option, right? I was full of nervous energy, just absolutely bouncing off the walls, that constant on edge feeling of anxiety, and it was so constantly there. It was like this low level hum, so much so I stopped noticing it and just thought this is the new normal. Probably not helped by my caffeine consumption. Um, just hyper aware at all times and kind of scanning the horizon for danger. I was passing out exhausted in the evenings from all the effort I was exerting just to be there. But then waking up at 3 a.m., feeling all the things and not being able to get back to sleep, just worrying, just obsessing about the thing. Being effing miserable to live with him, my poor husband, just moaning at him and obsessing all the time and just being like, um, just Grumpy Bear from Rainbow, from the Care Bears, just being absolutely miserable to live with. And and I promised you I'll be totally honest with this, even I was having some really dark thoughts. I mean, like the darkest thoughts, and I do not say that lightly. Um, I just wanted those feelings to stop, and I couldn't see a way out. I just didn't know how I was going to work or figure my way out of this one. I was on my knees, literally crying at the thought of having to go to work and muster some energy and enthusiasm to be able to bring it from somewhere. Let me know if this has resonated with you and you've ever felt like this. But I did it. I did it. I absolutely did it. And I'm out the other side, and I am currently having my best period ever in my business. These are the steps that I took to get there. And I would love to know which of these resonate with you. If you don't feel comfortable publicly commenting, please feel free to send me a private message, because I would love, love, love to know what resonates with you. So these are the steps. Number one was to acknowledge the feelings. I think as women, we are really good at squishing the feelings down and bringing it from somewhere, being able to hustle, being able to pull rabbits out of hats when our backs are against the wall, kind of squishing the feelings down. But the problem is that those feelings are still there and they've got to come out somewhere. And if you don't acknowledge those feelings, they're going to come out in all sorts of weird and wonderful ways, which are not necessarily career and business enhancing. So that was the first thing I did, is just kind of acknowledge that it was really, really tough. And I was struggling and there were a lot of tears, but that's good, because that meant that the feelings were being processed. They weren't just hanging around in my body. The second step that I took was reconnecting with my dares. That's what we call them inside my membership, Audacity. The dares, the daily essential standards. Now, these are the rituals I have to allow me to show up as my brightest and best and highest version of myself. And I was feeling so rubbish, I'd stopped doing them. And I know this, right? I know it's a cycle, it's a downward spiral. You've probably experienced it, but I'd stopped doing them because I just felt so rubbish. I just wanted to be at work all the time, to work my way out the problem. And so I'd stopped doing the stuff that kept me human and kept me going and kept me reminding me how powerful and freaking infinite I am. And so for me, getting back on track looked like starting to journal again. I am so good at working out my problems when I write them down. And just spending 10 minutes in the morning in bed with a cup of coffee in my pretty journal and my sparkly pen that I love writing with, just writing out how I was feeling, what I was struggling with. I can't tell you how helpful it was to be able to do that. And then getting into my ice tub. I know that's a specialist thing, and love it or hate it, but for me, it works. I'll moan about it, but just getting into that ice tub, even for 5 minutes, and I feel clear. It just helps. It just clears everything out and helps me get clarity. And I'm able to identify the right next step. So just taking 5 minutes in the morning to do that was amazing. And then number 3 was getting back to yoga. I've got a gym over the road from my house. I've got a yoga class I love. There were no excuses really, but just booking that class and getting my backside back on the mat and feeling strong and getting that clarity, that peace of mind was so, so important. So that was number 2, reintroducing my DES, my daily essential standards. Number 3 was reconnecting with my vision. I was so caught up in the problem, in the worries that I'd had, that I'd forgotten why I'd invested in the first place. And so that was step number 3, is to reconnect with the vision. And the way that I did that was sitting in the hot tub and feeling into the energy of having already achieved the thing that I was setting out to do. And in the shower in the morning, just visualizing the next level version of me who had already achieved the thing, literally stepping into that energy. So, so powerful. Number 4 was spending some time looking after myself. It was all going to hell. Like my nails, my hair. I was like bare minimum makeup, rocking up to work in yoga gear, not doing the yoga, but wearing the yoga gear because it was comfy. And it might sound a bit superficial, but looking after myself, spending time to do my nails, taking the time to do my hair nicely, to do my makeup so I felt better was really, really important. You are important. Just taking that time to feel a little bit better can be so, so powerful. Number 5 is quite an interesting one, and this is a new thing that I've been doing, but has been a game changer, is checking where I am in my cycle, in my menstrual cycle. Now, I'm 42 and I am heading full barrel into perimenopause, and I am recognizing that there are a couple of days in the month when I am angry, like properly angry, and there are a couple of days in the month where I am despondent, properly despondent, having really dark thoughts. And I think if I had checked my cycle, that's where the dark thoughts were coming from. It's hormonal. And so having that knowledge, that self-knowledge and that awareness and tracking where I am in my cycle, I now know when to start new projects based on giving myself the best chance of that being successful based on my cycle and where my hormones are. And I now know there are certain times of the month where it's absolutely okay to clear my schedule, lie on the sofa with chocolate, snuggle up with a book, and that is all I am capable with. So powerful. We need to do this as women. Number 6 was getting support from somebody I trust. So actually reaching out, getting in touch with a coach and saying, this is my vision. Can you help me? And there is a lot to be said for not reinventing the wheel. There is a lot to be said for standing on the shoulders of giants and asking for help and working with somebody that you trust and you feel aligned with to help leapfrog you and to create a strategy that works for you. And I've now got a strategy that I am so excited about. And it is why I'm having my best period ever. But it takes faith and it takes trust and it takes surrender to take that leap of faith when you are feeling rubbish anyway. But I did it and it worked for me. Number 7 was understanding that these feelings, it was just my imposter freaking out. As I mentioned, I had just made a massive investment in my business and I was scared. I was so out my comfort zone. And so all these things I was experiencing, the physical symptoms, the hyper awareness, the freaking out, all the self-talk, it's just my imposter trying to sabotage me, trying to self-sabotage. So I quit doing the scary thing and get back in my comfort zone, even if I know it is not serving me. I'd made this massive investment and I was so far out of my comfort zone, and so my imposter was freaking out. And just being able to be aware of that, it was like, I know what's happening here. It's okay. No need to freak out. We've got this. Number 8 was being super, super kind to myself. And this is something I've had to learn. I am very much of the hustle generation. I will work myself into the ground, hence the getting ill. And so I had to learn to be super, super kind to myself, resting when I needed to rest and where I felt that my brain was just mush, eating well. Again, something I've had to learn, but my temptation is always to reach for a takeaway to feel better, or a massive chocolate bar, or a massive share bag of crisps, not alcohol anymore, not for the past 4 years, but just kind of numb and distract with the eating. No, that is no good. I need to be fueled appropriately. Meditating so I can get to sleep and kind of shut my brain off. Just that whole idea of slowing down to speeding up. And then finally, number 9, I focus like crazy, like a mad scientist, like a curious observer on my mindset and my thoughts, my state and my story. So being super mindful of my thoughts. So every time I noticed I was beating myself up or worrying or panicking, it was no, this is just a cloud that's passing across the sky. You are not the sky. You get to control what you think. Choosing to know that whatever happened, even if what I was secretly worried about was coming to pass, that I would be okay. That whatever happened, I would be okay. That I am intrinsically okay and of value as a human being. And that this centeredness and self-trust, it just gave me this inner peace and foundation and grounding, um, from which to act upon. And I didn't act until I felt this sense of peace. So that's it. These are the 9 steps that I took. I would love, love, love to know what's resonated with you, either of my dark night of the soul story or any of these steps that I took to get myself from feeling screwed to absolutely on top and smashing it. Please comment. If you don't feel comfortable commenting, send me a message. I would love to know what has resonated with you. And have you read my book, my new ebook on imposter syndrome in female entrepreneurs? If not, I urge you to go download your copy. It is free, and you can see the link to download it wherever you are accessing this conversation. It will really, really help you to sort your imposter out, to sort your mindset out so you can come out on top again and fulfill your dreams and vision for your business. That's it from me today. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you very soon.